So you have a couple of options over here.
Yeah,
But,
we've got some time here. We see the crawl coming out, and I mean, obviously, Green DN understands the assignment, moving up, lining up for the hatch here. Can they time it right? Is the question, though. Oh,
Oh.
nope.
Oh!
But she slaps him with the D. Hey, what it do, what it do? It's your boy Q, and welcome back to YouTube. And let's get ready for another trip here back into the fog with some more OCE action. Week number 3 started off with the banger that was Endless and Genesis. And on that same day, we actually got to witness this matchup right here, Ownd versus Genesis. Two teams that have shown some greatness through the season thus far in separate trials, but really trying to piece things together for a really strong showing throughout an entire series as we do head deeper into the season here. So today, we're going to be getting started off with one of my favorite killers. If you've seen my tier list video over here on the channel, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to be getting kicked off with the Nurse on the Coal Tower. Then we're going to be flipping the script, slowing things down on the Suffocation Pit with the Plague. Then going to see the Ghostface on the Sheltered Woods. And then that 4th and 5th killer, if needed, are going to be the Cenobite on the Wrecker's Yard and the Huntress on the Blood Lodge. Remember, every single like, comment, share, that all helps us out with that good old YouTube algorithm. Gets our content in front of more people as we do chase down 500 subs over here on the channel where we do post daily DBD content. Everything from like funny gameplays and builds to comp DBD videos just like this to discussional videos like why DBD should actually implement a scoreboard and scoring system similar to like what we see in competitive itself. And I know y'all clicked in here for some more CatJam versus Ownd goodness, so let's go ahead, get right down to it. As always, if you want to keep up with what Dead by OCE has going on, I'm going to leave their Discord down in the description below, right next to that live stream link, where you can come in and catch some games live every Friday and Saturday, 6 p.m. Sydney time, which is 8 a.m. GMT or 4 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And so we do catch y'all back over here on the YouTube, man. Don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard. All right, y'all, it's your boy Q, signing out. All right, let's go ahead and take another trip on back into the fog. Starting off our matchup number 2 of the day between Ownd and CatJam. We're going to be out on the Coal Tower. Going to be hanging on board with Val on the Nurse. We do see quickly moving up into that corrupt side of the map up here on the top side. Hasn't been able to find any survivors. Does look like we're going to go ahead and take this time to try and see if we can push up into the uncorrupt side of our map. Of course, with a small map like Coal Tower, we can anticipate our survivors probably not going to be doing the stealthing out of the corrupt, instead going to want to try and come in and start putting pressure on the gens. What's going to be interesting, I see a perk that's gotten changed recently that's starting to come back into even like the comp meta. Going to be interested to see what kind of value we can get out of that sloppy butcher down.
Oh, 100%. I mean, with the change, I believe it was the hemorrhage effect, right? Which makes your heal process regress basically immediately after you stop healing, if you're not fully healed. That's really, really interesting, especially if you as a killer are able to spot the reset point. But right now, I think we have to work on spotting any survivors because we haven't seen anyone yet. And I think contrary to what you said, they are low-key hiding out a little bit of the corrupt. I mean, we've just seen Bad Habits get onto the gen with like 10% progress. I think there's been a second survivor on there as well. But with the corrupt almost ran out, that's a lot of time already in the trial.
Yeah, I mean, that will allow us to maybe even start attacking that very notorious 3 gen on the top side of the gen here for our survivors. Unfortunately, though, once Val gets finding a survivor, it does not take Val long to get that survivor horizontal there. So that is going to now be hook state number 1. We do see, though, our survivors doing a good job cranking that first gen out in return. So 1 gen, 1 hook. The gen that gets done is one of the more middle gens, but with the fact that they waited out these top side gens getting uncorrupt really makes me wonder if they're going to try and break up that 3 gen early.
Yeah, I think it would be a really nice move for our survivors here because that's a lot of times where we see the nurse trials getting really, really long, or the survivors are getting problems getting those last gens out. So if you get that out of the way early on into the trial, it should be really, really beneficial for your endgame. And we do see a little bit of stretch marks, I believe, going to the backside of the main, and there's another survivor on the left side. So it seems like we're correct on what we are expecting for the survivors to happen. Val, however, is trying to secure the second stage over here.
Yeah, I think this is one of those situations. It's like weird because it wasn't like a quick down in the sense that the down kind of came in pretty close to when the corrupt came out. But because the survivors were also stealthing out your corrupt, it's almost the same as getting a down with like 40, 50 seconds into your corrupt, right? Like minimal pressure on your gens. It's pretty well a free camp into second stage. And that's what we've seen here. Now going to be, I thought we had seen scratch marks coming in back for the unhooked. Wasn't the case. But we do see, though, the second stage has been forced. That means this survivor will be able to be removed from the trial next time they get put down onto the floor. Val going to be kind of trying to check around the area here, see if we can locate a survivor. Right now, I feel like if our survivors are going to allow this survivor here to get eliminated, we need at least 2. Really, you would want 3 more gens, right?
Yeah, 100%. Because bad habits, it really seems like we're going to get the elimination. Yeah, I was about to say, I think. Oh, there we go. There is the 2 gens, but that also means only 1 survivor probably is around here. And if you play that patience game really well, I don't think you're gonna get that save. And there it is! The elimination onto bad habits, who had kind of staring like, wait, why are you leaving out so early, mate? We still need you. And now this is another take onto the Claudette with Nyx on the floor. This is a huge turn.
Yeah, this is really unfortunate because you sent 2 survivors in for the save and you weren't able to get the save. And not only were you not able to get the save, now you've got another survivor already on the hook. And anyone who's played DBD before knows how much the game momentum really shifts and changes once you get down to the 3v1, right? It's easy when you have 4 survivors and you have 1 person on the hook, 1 person in chase, 1 person going for the unhook. You still have a free survivor to be able to do at minimum 1 person doing some gens. But now that whole thing changes with a survivor out of the trial, especially now with the sloppy butcher. It's going to take longer for the heals. We've got 3 people entered across the board. So if anyone is on a gen, 15% slowdown thanks to the Thanatophobia. Right now, Val in a lot of control.
And it's a huge value to have Nats on the ground. You know where both of your last survivors are located at. I don't think we've seen anyone cross just yet. It might be mistaken though, because of the quality of the screen share. We might miss some scratch marks, but it doesn't seem like it. But as we are not able to spot any one of the 2 survivors, we are opting to go for the hook. However, we are dragging Natsu over towards the top side of our map. And I was about to say, I have to ask myself if they're gonna go for gens or not. And now we only have the reset onto the cage. So this is again very, very dangerous situation.
Yeah, what was tough is we had seen the missed skill check. I'm glad they were able to at least get the save or get the heal finish, because had they not, with the sloppy butcher, really would have been in a tough scenario. So at least now the Kate's been able to get to freedom. You get the borrow time onto the ace. You basically trade the 1-for-1 here onto this hook. But we do have a hook now on this top side of the map, up in the middle of this 3-gen. This is going to be tough for our survivors.
Yeah, very tough, because I mean we've talked about that 3-gen, but with the other gen being so close here on the hill, you still have that combination that's so beneficial for your end game. And you really need to be careful with that. Are we in that locker? Yeah.
Yeah, saying get on up out of there. Oh, but he slaps him with the D. Is gonna go ahead and say drop it at the same time as we get the unhook as well. So that's gonna allow for some distance here. This gives the survivors a little bit of a glimpse of hope. But I think with the change to the hemorrhage, with the pressure that Val continues to put down, I think right now Val just has too much going on in their favor. Nice dead hard though.
Oh, very nice dodge coming out from the survivors over there. But you now also have the information of the Deliverance and the D-Strike already being out of the trial, so you do know now. You don't have to worry about that. We have the reset onto the Ace over there, but I leaves to wonder with all the resetting and hooking that has been going on, I doubt there is a lot of progress on these generators. So all that is happening is progress on the killer's objective, because the survivors are forced to kind of get out of those dangerous positions with the gens being so close to each other.
Yeah, and what's going to be tough here too is Val's had the time to kind of monitor some of these gens. I'm not sure if all of the gens are regressing at this point, and that's why we're not applying the pop goes the weasel, or if we're just more worried about not allowing for the free save, especially seeing as both survivors did indeed reset. So the good news with the reset is if anyone's currently on a gen, only 5% slowdown, but it's all the gens being so close, I don't think we're going to have enough time to finish them. We're going to need a save here. And unfortunately, I don't know if there's enough time left on that bar.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to happen. If you send the both survivors in for that save, I think it's going to be a similar case as with Bad Habits. You just don't have enough time. So I was about to say, I really think they are focusing on this last gen and trying to give that one gen out of the way, because if you manage to pop another one, if you turn around the situation in the next trial, that's very, very important for your killer.
Yeah, that's going to be big here. I mean, you talk about maybe if you can make that. Oh man, it's tough here though, right? I mean, both of these survivors have both been hooked, so you don't have the room to make a fresh out, but you still can get yourself some big points. It's just you probably don't have time to, I don't think, even get the gen done. I feel like at this point, I feel like you have to, unless you go on a juicer, maybe, because we haven't used many of the pallets back here, but it's a nurse. You can kind of blink through those pallets, right?
Yeah, I was about to say, I think even with like the rework of the stun bugging thing, I think there has been some patch. It's gotten very hard to stun a nurse actually. So we'll see if that might get some value out of our survivors. However, right now we are playing a little bit of an immersive game, at least from the Aces side, because we did have more progress on the main gen. However, we're not able to spot the Ace just quite yet. So it does seem like it's just going to be another trip back to generator number 2 and 3 to see if anyone is sitting on that. But if the Claudette doesn't have the ability to heal herself, you might even be free to leave your gens as Val is doing right now, to maybe try to spot the reset case. And if you can make that happen, that could seal the deal on a 4K.
Yeah, because you had mentioned if Claudia isn't able to heal herself, obviously if you were able to interrupt the heal, then essentially the heal progress will be gone if you continue the chase with the Ace because of that change to the hemorrhage status. But we see right now our survivors doing a good job making sure they're staying out of the line of sight of Val. Val really doesn't have an idea, at least as for now going to be finding the hit through the window. I'm sorry you got the fast vault, still getting the reach from Val. And I thought I'd seen some motion off in the distance. Maybe my eyes doth deceive me, but I think you would not mind getting this hook. The only issue is it is already a second hook, so 2 missed skill checks, and then you're worrying about an end game play, so I understand the slug as well.
Yeah, 100%. And with the Claudette being injured for that amount of time, you have to wonder still if maybe they said, okay, we don't have the time, we don't have the resources to get the reset onto the Claudette, because especially because of the sloppy butcher. So they might have sent only the Ace in to go in and try to get some more progress onto the gens. But now with your Val, you kind of have to guess what is going on, and you have to keep track of your slug, because if that is running away and is bleeding out, and the ace might get an exit gate open or a hatch play, that would be a huge turn.
Yeah, it could be a really big turn. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on those timers. Well, at least the one timer in that bottom left-hand corner. It would be 2 stages here. Wouldn't be surprised to see Val starting to check some lockers here. See if maybe you can get lucky and find the ace. Ace doing a good job thus far, though, playing super immersed here. And you know, you had mentioned the bleed out timer now getting closer to about that 2-minute mark. Val might want to consider. I feel like, though, with the hook being back here and with it being a nurse and you already being so close to the hatch, not the worst of plays to just go ahead and secure this hook and stand on your hatch for that to close, right?
I mean, yeah, you're right. I think also with I don't know where the second gate is. If you have another gate on top side and you are forced to hook over here, it's gonna be really close. You would have to cross a lot of the map to get back to another gate if it's maybe on the top right side of main. So maybe they are trying to get Val to close the hatch over on the shack so Ace can get a gate. However, with Clicky crawling towards the
Top
bottom
right,
left
yeah,
corner,
that's where that door is.
Yeah, I was about to say, Val. Now I think now it's a real mind game, because if they expect Val to close hatch to give it more time to Natsu to open the gate, he should be somewhere in the area, right? So it might be worth taking the risk going over there. I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously if there's the pickup, especially at this point, if there was the unbreakable in play, we would have seen it. So if the survivor gets up off the ground, you can anticipate that means someone assisted them off of the ground. Now going to be seeing Val, though, sees that corner or that timer over in the corner, now less than a minute. Going to be bringing this survivor more central, which is interesting. Wondering if maybe going to take a quick peek at the door before going back to the shack, possibly, with the other door being so close to this hook.
I feel like it would be such an amazing play if the survivor would do like a 5,000 IQ move, right? Now Clicky is going to leave the trial very early while is checking the gate over here, but Ace might be waiting on check side. And if that's the case,
oh no, you can't get
we
two
will
blinks
be
there.
looking at a Hedge's cave, right? Oh no. Oh, it's Hatch and Main. Am I mistaken? Are we?
They might have brought Hatch and Main because I mean they had the option to. Yeah, so it's going to be Val actually closing it here, which is tough because that makes you closer to the door that you weren't by. So I mean, I don't know if you've got a direct line of sight between the two, but yeah, maybe like a 20% play. There's still a chance here for NATO, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the 20% play is kind of the only option you have, but I don't know if Val's actually spotted them over here. It looks like we're at least a little bit confident. It is a lot of time, I think. We're taking a chance, and we're taking the right one. This is the ace. This is the hit on him, and I think Ace also knows that this is going to spell the 4K. I like the patience, though, coming out from the survivors, really trying their best to get at least a 1 out in this trial.
Yeah, if this, seeing the fight here in trial number 1 between CatJam and Ownd here, especially after having that barn burner of a 5-set matchup between Endless and Genesis, really has me expecting to see a nice fight between these two teams here. However, you get the 4K before the 5th gen pops, which is big for Ownd. I know it's a very tall task, but you do make it a very clear and concise win condition. If I can at least come out and complete all the gens, that's my win. The other good news for you is with that being the win condition, you don't have to worry about playing around any sort of end game build, right?
Exactly, but if you're looking at a nurse without having anything in the back pocket for the end game, you're looking at a lot of pressure during the trial. So with a current score of 24-8 in favor of Ownd. I think we're gonna go into a little break, let the teams prepare for the next matchup, and we will be back in a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody, to trial number 2 of set number 1 of matchup number 2 of today. We are looking at Ownd versus CatJam, and we have Greendean on the killer side for CatJam right now. And with a current score of 24-8 in favor of Ownd, Ownd in theory only has to put out all of those 5 gens, but against a nurse on Cold Tower, that is easier said than done. And when we'll take a look at Greendean's perk build, I see a perk that I haven't seen for a while, man.
Yeah.
We're looking at a Tinker Nurse, what?
Yeah, it is definitely interesting to see the Tinker, especially because you can anticipate that our squad here is going to be in comms, so I'm not sure if maybe you're just hoping to maybe get an extra surprise hit or two. We'll be keeping an eye on that there to see what kind of spiciness comes out of that. I mean, that essentially replaces the sloppy, right? So we are seeing an early download now around 80 seconds, hook before the 90-second mark before we see a first gen pop. Kind of what you're looking for here if you're Greendean.
Yeah, and with the Tinker in place, we know that there's only one gen across the 70% mark, and so we can take care of that. I'm actually kind of surprised as we have entered this one chase very early. I mean, it was a fast chase. That this is the only gen though that we see have a significant amount of progress, but this is already some Tinker value, I'd say. So we do also spot the next survivor, a little bit of a firecracker coming out, and this is attack onto the Claudette.
Yeah, and it is worth noting we did get another proc on that Tinkerer. I wasn't sure if that was someone that came back behind us from the... Oh, we didn't kick the main gen, the Shack gen, did we? So that actually would have been another generator getting procced with the Tinkerer, so not going to be too far off from seeing the first one popping here. There it is as we talk about it. The question is, how close are we on the Shack one here that we know already procced that the Tinker? Now doing a really good job of honestly getting a lot of value out of like no resources, no pallets or nothing, just kind of using the edge map. We now see a third generator procking the Tinkerer.
Exactly, and there it is. So we now know that another gen is that. Wait, that was Shack. Was that the Shack gen? No, it wasn't. We have the Shack gen still, probably with at least a little bit of progress if someone touched it. I think we kicked it with a pop kick. I'm not 100% on that though. So I
couldn't remember if we did or if we went right looking for the 8, like right before our survivor. As soon as I started talking about it, I couldn't remember.
Yeah, well, we have a little bit of a memory malfunction on our caster side, I guess, from both of us, because that's a third gen popping. So we did not kick it. At least we didn't kick it under the mark with where Tinkerer would proc against. And now we do have a lot of progress on the survivor side, and you can only allow one additional gen to proc. We are leaving Becky on the ground over there to generate a little bit more pressure. We do have another injury which gives you 2 stacks of the Thanatophobia. You kinda need to snowball this if you're on the killer side.
Yeah, I think, and that's part of the reason we see Greendean even going for the slug for so long, right? Understanding the assignment, especially trying to see if you can find even the reset before it comes across. There it is now, though, unfortunately. So now we're back to 3 fully healthy survivors. So if anyone happens to start working on any of these gens here in the next couple of minutes, only 5% slowdown on that Thanatophobia. We do see, though, Greendean still has the ability to earn 25% regression with every hook from here on out through the rest of the trial. So with this hook state right now on this ace being so far back behind main, in a good spot here, but I mean, the survivors do have the option to prioritize gens over friends and at least get the 4th generator finished.
Yeah, with the progress on the far back gen over there, which is kind of further away from your 3 gen, I think this is a generator that we're most likely going to see pop. So it almost feels like You might be playing for a tie here. We now also have the Tinkerer proc over there. If you get the fast out onto the goal, that nice dead art coming out from past, giving himself a little more time. And this might be the time they need to bring out the fourth generator to spell the tie. If there was to be the 4K right now, we have to put that in on the ground, and Green Dean really needs to seal the D, but there's another Tinkerer proc across the map.
Now here becomes the question, right? How many of these survivors are over here in this top left portion of the map, or as some of our comp players might call it, up here at 11? We see that this generator has a whole bunch of progress on it. Fourth piston pumping pretty solidly on it, so around 10 seconds or less of repair work needed. We also saw the reset. We even see Claudette getting picked up off of the ground here as well. Now Green Dean's in a very tough situation. Do I worry about the gen? Do I worry about the Claudette, who is inevitably going to be getting healed here, which then means those two survivors can start splitting pressure on that generator on the opposite side of main, or as our comp players call it, one. With this being a 4v1 right now, this is a tough situation to be in.
Yeah, I mean, we do also have the reset on the Claudette, as you have mentioned. I think best case scenario would probably be the gen on what you like to call 11, regressing down below the Tinkerer mark, and then you getting a very fast down to be able to pop that gen once again. But we do see our survivors changing up the strategy a little bit, trying to go for those lit gens. We now have a decent amount of progress on our number one gen as well. Another nice data coming out from the Claudette, nicely timed, and this is the Tinkerer proc once again from the gen over there on the left side. So you are forced to go back and forth, and it feels like if you do not commit at a single point right now, you probably will get even less hook stages.
Yeah, this is extremely tough right now. You need it down, and you need it down right now. I mean, you get the tag onto the Zarina, but Zarina's just going to gump it up towards Shaq. You don't want to be up there. Probably haven't gotten the regression yet on this generator up on this top left corner of the map for that to get another proc from Tinker. We do still need to keep an eye on this generator on the opposite side as well, because we know we've got 4 survivors in this trial. So there's at least somebody working on a gen somewhere, and I'm not sure if, I don't know if our survivors, I feel like they've probably exposed the entire build, so I don't know if they're taking extra time to cleanse totems or not, but they're definitely taking extra time to at least get those resets, as we see those all the way across the board. 4 survivors, all healed, 0 regression or 0 slowdown thanks to the Thanatophobia. I feel like Green Dean at this point is just delaying the inevitable.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe if you do commit onto one survivor, I don't know if we're underneath the Tinkerer mark right now with both of our gens. If you commit, you get the fast down and maybe get a pop kick out of that. Even then, you would have to decide, do I leave this hook again, right? Because just alone the way you would have to go back into your gen area might be too much distance. Nice block going out. Too much distance to be able to get the pop kick in time. So now we have this Arena who is immediately run away from your CJ combination. Nice attempt from the Nancy going with a flashlight. Do we maybe see a flashlight save coming out? No, this does spell another hook stage. And now I think you have the option.
Oh,
never mind.
Yeah. No, that you know what though? I would imagine we were probably very close, but we were going to turn around and we were going to apply it to that generator that was behind us, and it actually looks like it was the gen across the way over here at what our comp players will call 1. So they were actually able to crush out the gen across the way on the opposite side. Now going to be able to get the tag onto the Claudette. I think we may even potentially be looking at the 4 out here. This is going to be big because this survivor squad from Ownd is going to be coming right back out on the Plague set, which requires so much communication and so much motivation to be able to push through the gens, deciding whether to cleanse, whether or not cleanse. So if you can finish things off in a very confident way, the way it's looking like we're doing here in set 1, you're off to a good start.
You're definitely off to a good start, and with this being Ownd's pick, I think they really demonstrated a nice gameplay. It does seem like Mark is going down into base in a little bit of another, a little bit of a celebration for getting another fresh hook out of the way. So that is really nice to get a bunch of additional points, never mind. But there is a Nancy with a deliverance, and now you kind of have to question if you can put up some maybe a little cheeky play with, for example, an unbreakable on the sprint burst, or a hatch play, or mates going in and take it down. You have a couple of options over here.
Yeah,
But
we've got some time here. We see the crawl coming out, and I mean, obviously, Green DN understands the assignment, moving up, lining up for the hatch here. Can they time it right? Is the question, though. Oh, nope.
Oh!
But she slaps him with the D, and then she gets out the hatch with the style points here. CatJam getting owned in set number 1, 41 points for owned. CatJam with only 22 owned here with a huge set point number 1, and that's a statement, right?
That's a massive statement. I mean, even getting 1 or 2 outs against a nurse, that's an amazing performance. And even getting the 4 out with an amazing timing on the survivor and with the hatch play and the D-strike on the deliverance is such a nice demonstration already of coordination and team play that I can only wonder what they're going to do in the play game that you've mentioned before. However, one thing I have to mention is I won't be part of that anymore. I sadly have to leave, so I need y'all to tell me what happened in the next trial. But for me is coming in the amazing Lovo is gonna take over for me. So I wish you all a really, really nice matches and a
we
great rest of
appreciate you
your day.
coming, kicking it in, man. It's been an absolute blast. I know it's been a little while since we've been able to hang out on the desk together, so I know I had a absolute blast today, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, once again, have fun with the next match play coming up, and stay tuned for the next matches after this quick break.
All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog. This time going to be on the suffocation pit, and we're going to be seeing Momo actually out on the plague. However, I'm seeing 3 gens corrupt, one of them being more middle here, so I think that means, unfortunately for our survivors, a little bit of unfortunate RNG. We've got all 5 uncorrupt gens pretty well rotated up towards the main building, which does mean that's going to be something we're going to want to attack aggressive and very early on here. The problem, though, you saw that lit totem. This 5 gen is going to be protected by the ruin as well. Not sure if Momo has the hookup on the correct rain dance to RNGesus to get this sort of spawn, but this gen setup is vicious.
Yes, it seems here that Momo really is struggling to find some survivors here. They're stealthing out pretty hard from what we saw when we were going through. A lot of hiding behind rocks and stuff like that, and we'll see here they're going to Momo here is going to make the silly little totem sick so that way we can get a read on any survivors if they happen to know where that totem is, but see here they're just gonna keep vomiting all over things till we can find one of these stealthing survivors.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically going to try and use the vomit as like that light bit of tracking, right? You use it on the gens. If you see someone get sick, you can assume that they're on the generators. We do see that our survivors here have kind of done what I feel like has started becoming a little bit more common, at least against the plague, which has been waiting out the corrupt there. I'm not sure if they were able to see, though, unfortunately, as far as from our survivors from Owned, what kind of gen setup they're playing into. Because if they already start attacking these 2 gens in the corner and start playing quickly into this 5 gen without starting to get progress into it, without getting this ruin cleanse, I mean, Momo can kind of just vibe on this side of the map for real. So, but we see, though, ruin does get cleansed. Claudette's going to actually be running away from it, taking chase towards the main building, as our legendary Miss Barn would say here from the OCE scene, humping main back here, trying to see if we can prolong this chase. Doing a good job. Going to be seeing Momo actually now vomiting onto the windowsill itself. That way you can't take that thing back. Gonna have to go through the ballot. Oh, also sees the sickness on that though. Delays throwing that thing. Unfortunately though, you are kind of stuck in a situation you're gonna eventually get sick, and it is going to be plus 10 wood added to the face here by our Claudette.
I don't know, this chase by the Claude here is going very well. Getting close to being broken here, but going to keep, there it is, going to keep throwing these pallets and keep humping main to get the wasted time going for the Plague and get these gens popped.
Yeah, I mean, the good news for you right now, if you're the survivors from Ownd, it is only the Claudette who has gotten sick. So we're talking about only 5% slowdown from the Thanatophobia. I really hope that they're starting to attack this gen spread, or at least they've noticed the situation as far as the objective. We haven't seen either of the generators on the far side, back by Shack Pop, which leads me to believe they've at least made the communication. Maybe if more started rotating back this way. We do see that Ace has just recently started getting sick, probably started touching one of these gens back more by the main side. I think we've seen quite a bit of progress on the middle generator there. So, I mean, spreading the pressure out as our survivors. There's at least generator number 1. We'll get that information as well as far as from the auras, thanks to the Rancor here. Not going to be able to find a connection, actually holding W all the way around. Gets stunned, stupid. Plus 10 wood added to the face here from the Ace as they do get fully infected, but just going to gump it up here towards Shaq. And Momo's got to be careful here. No real need to push back there, because 2 gens that got done were 2 of the 3 that were corrupt, which means your 5 gen still plenty intact.
I know, and saw they were debating getting their corrupt, but decided against it to just start getting this 4 gen here all sick, and hopefully get some information on if any of these survivors will hop on these gens, all the fully non-sick ones at least.
Yeah, and we see, and I did call it a 5 gen. You are correct though. That is a 4 gen. I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like if they know the situation at this point, wouldn't be surprised to see them go ahead and trying to just finish off that last gen over on Shaq, then slowly start breaking up this 4 gen. We have 2 survivors, the Nancy and the Zarina, both of whom have yet to be infected here. Nancy, that looked like, was able to use the sprint burst to get away. We know that we have 1 survivor back here on the main building side, back here over what our competitive players would consider 11. And we see now going to be going back, humping main here, trying to prolong this chase. We have a cleanse across the way as well. That's going to relieve a little bit of the help from the Thanatophobia. Actually, both 6 survivors are going to cleanse, which means if they start to double up on any of these gens, could knock them out with the swiftness.
I know this is looking kind of rough here for Momo, trying to keep protecting this side, which is going to slowly become harder, but now that they're all fully healed, this doubling up on gens will definitely make it easier for them to try and knock these out.
Yeah, and we see even right again, another quick cleanse. We understand that the survivors understand the assignment, need to start rocking and rolling on these generators, not trying to be slowed down by any pesky Thanatophobia. I think their other thought process is you've already cleansed to the point where up to the 50-yard line, you don't have any more corrupt pools, right? So if you do happen to get sick, it's where we might see what we've seen in other regions, where teams will go ahead and over cleanse, wait out a single use of the purge. That way they have availability to all of the pools to cleanse it again, right?
Yes.
So it's interesting to see them like they're gonna stealth things out here. Obviously, you don't want to hand over any of their health state changes, but it's been a little while since we've been at least over to the generator over by the logs over there. We want to keep an eye on that. But this 4 gen, the more we continue to walk around in it, and the more that you kind of realize just how tight this 4 spread is, this is going to be vicious to break up, man.
It really is. I am interested to see the play here that these survivors are going to take to try and knock one of these gens out in this 4 gen, but it's like you said, it's definitely tight and it's gonna be tough to sneak your way in and pop one of these when the killers just has easy access to all of them.
Yeah, it's oh man, this is that methodical, slow gameplay that I know for some they don't find. I honestly love watching these portions of the game where it gets really slow, because this is where you'll have some survivors able to really, some survivor squads really be able to shine, because they'll play so patient to the point that it does cause whatever killer that they are playing against, whoever it happens to be, to like have to overcommit. And by doing that, then being able to finish up these last, whether it be 1 gen and a 3 gen, or in this case, last 2 gens in this 4 gen scenario, can really allow them to shine. It's going to be interesting to see this back and forth here, because I do not envy them breaking up this 4 gen by any stretch of the means. And I mean, we see even at this point, I think kind of starting to feel that a little bit, right? Momo spending a little bit of time coming all the way over here to the shack side. Now even really engaging in this chase past the TNL, now moving up far enough to get stunned by this pallet. You do at least create a little bit of the dead zone in the sense that you're starting to remove some pallets over here in case you do want to overextend chase later, but you really don't have the opportunity to overextend chase, at least for now, because Nancy isn't all the way 6. That means no stacks with the Nanophobia just quite yet. If you have any survivors doubled up on a gen, this gen's gonna fly.
I know, and they're keep getting taunted to come back over there on that on bottom. My brain is my brain's struggling. So they, keep trying to take those chases down there. Momo saying absolutely not. I'm going to try and push these gens as hard as I can to make sure they don't pop in front of me. But now we're seeing Mark giving that first stack there of Thana becoming injured. All survivors are sick, so here's the chance to see the Momo get their corrupt and try and get these downs on all these sick survivors. There we go.
Yeah, and especially because as we continue with these chases here, eventually these 6 survivors are going to become fully infected and broken survivors, which means just one shot with this corrupt purge will result on that survivor being on the ground. And especially when you can figure we bring in the purple amulet, that add-on down there that does give Momo an additional 20 seconds every time we pick up the corrupt purge, that could be some very big value. We saw one off in the distance over to the left. We also have another survivor right here in front of us working around the TNL, trying to see if we can save up. Claudette going to vault right into Momo. Momo tries to go for the shot with the sniper rifle, not going to be able to find a connection. Does do it at this point, but not before the full infection had came in. So now going to need a second shot. Doing a good job of dodging it here is the Claudette, actually keeping this chase alive. This is pulling the aggro away from main. This might allow for us to break up that 4 gen.
I know, this Claude with a really good chase there, amazing dodges of that corrupt, but now we're gonna see Momo taking them slide on the edge here of that 4 gen. See if they're able to get one of these popped before they reach the gens, all of the gens.
Yeah, and while we're speaking about pop goes the Weasel, not on the build list, unfortunately, for Momo here. So when you talk about the pops on these gens, it's going to be a little bit easier for our survivors to do that, since you don't have the 25% regression from the kicks after the hooks. Granted, right now, our survivors have done a good job of even restricting the hooks to Momo thus far, even if they were running pop. But, I mean, we saw generator number 4 getting complete. We see survivors now taking more chase back this way. I would imagine we're going to be seeing Momo grab this pool. Yeah, over here back more towards the shack side, knowing that we have survivors injured across the board, needing to put down some pressure. Right now, there is going to be 15% slowdown, almost 20% slowdown, or now 20% slowdown onto the gens thanks to that Nanophobia, but you need some downs. You need to be able to establish a little bit of pressure. Otherwise, you're going to have at least 2 survivors paired up on a single gen, getting ready to pound the last one out, and then they can just simply work on the doors.
I know, this is going to be rough here. There it is. There's the hit on Canna. Is this going to be a basement? No. Going to hook towards middle.
Yeah, I don't think you want to waste the time going into the basement here, right? That this, at least in this case, you're able to take this hook, rotate it more towards the main. If you're lucky, maybe you're able to get up here and interrupt a generator before it's finished. Unfortunately, this corrupt pool here we did pick up earlier, so that's not going to be at Momo's disposal. We do see, though, taking chase over here, which means if either of those generators up in that top leftish corner of the map happen to be where our survivors are working, I would imagine it is not too long until we see generator number 5. We also have to keep in mind, moving into the end game here, we have seen those images whenever we see the generators getting complete from the Rancor. That's going to mean that the ace is going to need to make sure that they are staying away, because you don't need a hook for that elimination. That elimination will give you the success of, or the concurrent stages with it as well. So that would be some points that you can hand over here. So right now our survivors, even though they fought hard to get to where they're at, and we know that this generator has a whole bunch of progress, they still need to make sure that they finish this thing off strong.
I know that, the Zarina here getting spotted, going to run them down bottom, but see, they're not going to follow. They're instead going to keep taking a look at these scratch marks that are circling these gens like hawks, trying to pump one of these out. See here, all of them are injured. It's pick your choice for the Plague right now if they're able to catch one. And here is Pasty, who is dead on hook.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. I mean, our survivors are in a very tough situation because everyone is sick. So they're like, I have that situation to be cleansed or not. There. Oh, that's actually the last gen popping and the adrenaline value as well. That is so big here. Now, of course, we have exposed the build, so we know that there's no way out. We know that there's no way. The big thing you're relying on is the Rancor. We see making it toward no way. Stop it. No. And you're able to stop. No. There's no way. So that's one out. Now the question is, where's the rest of your survivors? Because they do have an option to cleanse here if they want to make it so they can get to safety. And we're going to see at least one survivor using that option over here. We also see some lights on the door over there. Not sure if that's going to be the door getting open or if the door's already been open. Momo, it looks like, might be making their way back towards Shack just in case there's someone over here at the hatch. We don't see the ace. The ace now taking the door across the way. That is 4 survivors out the door here. And that is limiting things to only 3 stages. Really good response from Ownd here on the survivor side. And that's just continuing up to keep the pace. I mean, honestly, I thought things were looking tough with the RNG there, and just to see Ownd fight through all of that, get all of those stages out the door, really puts CatJam behind the 8 ball, especially seeing as Ownd there did take set number 1. So we are going to be bringing trial number 4 here with a score of 19-8 between CatJam and Ownd to y'all after a very quick break. All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog, and our survivors right now from CatJam are under some pressure here, really only able to give away 2 stages, or I guess technically 3 if it were all onto 1 elimination, because then you're saving yourself the other fresh hook. But in a really tough spot here. Gonna not be too surprised to see if maybe they try and do the waiting out corrupt tactic. The only risk about the waiting out corrupt tactic, as I had just mentioned, they have a very tall task. They have very few stages to give away. If you get caught waiting out corrupt, then you're talking about already being behind on the objective work, and especially when we do see that our killer here, Mark, has brought in the ruin that could potentially help us out as far as the regression later in the game. that is something that our survivors are going to need to keep an eye out for. At this point, we're around the 90-second mark, so we have done a good job as far as waiting out the corrupt, but this is kind of what I was talking about. Right now, at this point, Kate is fully injured. Yeah, we're talking you haven't even started chase until 100 seconds, but if everyone else has been waiting out corrupt like Kate did until just 10 seconds ago, you probably have minimal to no progress on these gens across the way. Now going to be seeing the pallet break, working our way back towards the main building here. We do have a lot of resources on the backside of main, of course, so don't be surprised if we do see our homie Kate here decide to hump main building a little bit. We do see Mark's already broken down the one breakable wall. We might have missed that while we were double checking perks here, so that breaks down that tile strength just a little bit. Now moving towards our long walls on the TNL in the corner of the map. This is the kind of the benefit of the great performance that your survivor side just had from Ownd, because you can kind of overinvest in this chase. If this was any other trial, you'd probably want to be checking in on these gens, but since you only need a couple of stages, you can overinvest in chase as long as it results in a down.
Exactly, and he gets the hit with his corrupt on the wall here. You want to say it?
Oh, get stunned, stupid! That's so tough. Not only is that a stun that allows distance, right? But you were just in your power, and correct me if I'm wrong, we still had quite a bit of the power left as well. So that's a very big value on the pallet itself. I think, you take the hit with the M1, you would have preferred to have stayed healthy, or not the M1, with the M2. You would have preferred to stay healthy, but it did kind of allow you to make the move. Unfortunately, though, now going to catch the down here is Clicky Boy, but kind of like what we had referred to back when the first chase started, because our survivors here were probably trying to prolong the first hook by stealthing out the corrupt. Now we're looking at 2 gens, or not even a second gen yet, and we're already 2 hooks in. This next hook or at least is a tie, unless it's a fresh hook.
Yes, exactly. It's pretty easy for Mark here to secure his win. So looks like he's most likely going to just camp around this proxy around this hook to try and get somebody to come in, but most likely you would think these survivors are going to stick on some gens and try and get them out. As I said, there is one to be popped.
Yeah, this is one of those situations because as the survivors, right now, you can allow the second stage to be forced here on a clicking. I was mistaken. I thought there had been another survivor that had been hooked. I'm looking down here in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen now, realizing actually I was mistaken. So with this being the first hook, with 120 seconds of hang time, and I want to take a look around. Did we break up our 3-gen on this side of the map? It looks like it, right?
I think we did, yes.
That is actually really big trouble, because remember I had mentioned you're allowed to sacrifice a full survivor if you get the gens done and get out the doors, because that would only be surrendering 6 points to the killer as opposed to the 8 points that the killer from CatJam got here. Now we're going to be seeing multiple survivors coming in, multiple people at least starting the progress of getting sick. But unfortunately, the second stage was forced. So next hook stage at least causes the tie, unless it is on the survivor that is death hook. So we're going to be chasing the Nia. Nia makes it to the window here before they happen to get fully sick. So the M1 only allows more distance. It does not cause the down. That is very unfortunate timing here. And because of that, we are going to be seeing our killer playing a little bit more passive, working back towards these gens, and now going to be trying to use the puke as more of a tracking perk, using that on the generators. At least that was going to be the case until we had found our survivor back here. Now we're also seeing some blood trails as well. Really would like for us to be able to get it down here. We see moving into the middle portion of our map, really just holding W. And if we get up to the shack side of the map here, where we have not taken chase, there is a lot of resources at our disposal.
Mark here is going to grab his corrupt to try and get this quick down on Blicky, who is running around Shack here, is now going towards the outskirts. And looks like going to try and die corner here, because they know they can't get away from this. And there it is.
Yeah, and it's a lot of time wasted though, right? You go,
Yeah.
you corner up. Not only does it take time to get to the corner to get the down, but now it's going to take time to get from the corner to find a hook. We see across the way, generator number 4 getting done. We also see a cleanse coming in relatively quick, which leads me to believe that our survivors here know that they're getting close to this last generator being done, especially with the elimination coming across. You lose that Thanatophobia stack. So no slowdown on the gens, at least for now, and still here for a little bit of time. We are in our power here, thanks to that amulet, that purple add-on. So don't even have the ability to use just the Vile Purge on the generators as far as for tracking. It looked like we had seen one survivor. I'm not sure who that was back here, but we see that they are going to just start holding Shift W back more towards main. That's the Kate takes the first hit. Kate somehow is a ninja and avoids the second hit here. Now working around the pallet base itself. Nice mind game, but Kate also has the mind game, able to get back across the pallet. And this is a lot of time bought for our survivors.
Now this Kate's gonna try and run around main here, seeing that that Mark doesn't have their corrupt anymore, but gets walked down pretty easily by the Plague to get knocked down. But we do see that Mark has his little Noed to help him out to try and get these other survivors who, what do you think, be getting on the doors?
I mean, at this point, unfortunately, with that 4th hook there, that does cause the decision. And I feel like instead of giving Ownd and Mark any other additional, what's the word you use for it? You know what's really weird is I use the word all the momentum. Instead of giving them more momentum, there it is. It's early in the morning. Forgive me. Well, I guess not so early now. Anyways, you don't want to give more momentum by giving more stages. Here, at least you can get some outs, and it's something that you can take into the next set, because you are going to be going into set number 3 here, the Ghostface set on Sheltered Woods, right back out here on the survivors. And this is a must win situation, which means on the survivor side, you need to be able to hand over a good win condition to the killers. But we see moving in for the save, maybe with knowing that, trying to get one last little cheeky play here. Unfortunately, though, it is just going to be a trade in the basement. That is another fresh hook that technically hands over more points.
Yes. So Mark's just gonna keep doing what he's doing, and like, I'm just gonna stick here and let them die. They tried and didn't really succeed in getting that the out there. So, but just
yeah, I mean, you know what? I gotta say though, like, big props for the try, and I understand it, right? Like I had said, you have already had a decision in this set, but if you would be able to get the 3 out heading into set number 3, knowing that it's a must-win situation for you, would be really good. So I mean, you understand why they took the attempt, but you know, at this point, you might as well take the out here. Go ahead and reset. This is going to be a really tough situation for our team from CatJam, because you've had some really nice matches. I mean, even here, right, you've had some fight, you've gotten quite a few stages out, but just unfortunately still looking at a 0-2 score when we're talking about the set base. And Sheltered Woods doesn't offer a lot of resources for the survivors here. So, I mean, the survivors need to make sure that they're on their P's and Q's. They're going to need to make sure that they're taking this time in between sets to really get their really get a game plan together. But set number 2 does result in the 34-23 here. And like I mentioned, we're going to be bringing set number 3, the Ghostface on Sheltered Woods, for between Ownd and CatJam to y'all right after a quick break. All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog, going to be on the Sheltered Woods, and we get to see one of my favorite M1s that we rarely get to see, the Ghostface. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Ghostface here plays out on Sheltered Woods. Normally when we see Ghostface brought out in competitive DBD in other regions, we usually see him on a map with a lot of stealth, like a Larry's. I mean, to be fair, there's a lot of line of sight blockers on Sheltered Woods here with some of the changes as far as maybe being able to use that to their advantage. I mean, you've got some good progress here onto the Nia. Unfortunately, I thought we were trying to go for the 99. Unfortunately, though, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately. If he was going for the 99, unfortunately, otherwise, already got one survivor, already fully stocked. We do see, though, trying to move along the backside of our main building. We're also going to hear a loud sound notification across the way. That is going to be the ruin here. So right now, our Nia going to need to make sure they go on a cracked run. We see building a little bit of distance, not going to be the case, and that is tough. That is a basement hook here before we see generator number 1. And that's tough. Like, we're talking about here at this point, I mean, hopefully we at least see one generator, right? You want to really have at least one generator getting done here shortly, because you have one survivor that wasn't sticking the gens during the time that the ruin was up. So if that's the case, then that means that one was there, one was maybe 2 gens, but you don't see much of those coming across right now. At least there's no regression thus far, but Backy has the ability to kind of hang back here. It looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, I think a 4 gen that we can kind of at least a 3 gen that we can lightly monitor back here while we also camp out a second stage. So now just going to be seeing the back and forth through the shack here, and we're not seeing any survivors coming in. But with not seeing survivors coming in, it leads me to ask, where in the world are these generators? There's generator number 1 getting done at least, but I feel like by now, yeah, there's 2. I need at least a third. Come on, guys. I need at least a third one here from you. For as much time as we had before the chase, you had almost ran out most of the fully exposed mark. Oh, man, now we see someone coming in. Have they seen the Ghostface? That's going to be Claudette, fully exposed, going into the basement here. It does look like they pushed all the way through the shack, though. So that's going to require another survivor to have to come in and assist for the save. We do see generator number 3 getting done across the way. We also have some scratch marks here. So we do have someone coming in right before. No one gonna break him out here. That's going to be unfortunate. You're at least going to get the down on the survivor. I think that means that Ace has no borrowed time. That is not good news. Ace shouldn't have been greeting that pallet. Should have at least created a little bit more room, but I understand wanting to save that for a little bit later. Doing a good job to swing and miss to block the pallet, to be able to get the cooldown back, to then fully stalk the Ace, to be able to bring the Ace back to the basement. This is beautiful play thus far here from Backy. Honestly, it's so amazing to watch here. You're now going to be seeing here, that's going to be hook state number 1 onto this survivor. So hook stage number 3 all together in the trial. We also seen that we had been able to retrieve our survivor off the ground here. So if we can get them reset just like we see here, now the only question is how far are any of these gens, because we can see you still have a hook in the middle of the 3 gen. I feel like if you are across the way on that gen, all the way on the opposite side of the map, you just want to finish it. That way you can just focus on the 3 gen here, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good spot here in the sense of being able to have eyes on a lot of things and see the see Backy find the Claude here, trying to get its marks on the claw, and looks like they're going to reach it. There it is. Oh! Yeah, there's the down. And second stage on Vito.
Yeah, so that is now, so we have the second stage forced in the basement. Now that second stage there as well. So that's now 2 survivors that are going to be on the verge of elimination. Now we've got this survivor, Momo, going to be rotated into the basement here as well. The basement basically also in the middle of your 3 gen setup. So, I mean, Backy in a really good spot, starting to get a nice little start of the actual stalk onto the Kate. Not going to be able to get it fully progressed, does get broken out as well. So needs to make sure that they're monitoring these gens because there are 3 survivors left. So if 2 of them stack up in a gen, you're only looking at, less than 60 seconds needed for a gen to get done. And if that's not much of a run, seems as we haven't taken much run away from the shack here, which means there's plenty of stuff at our disposal.
Yeah, and you could see that the shack was being surrounded by all these survivors. Both Habits and NATO were getting caught there in that gym, and the Kate here running away as Backy just tries to confirm second here, as well as try to get these last bit of stock he needs on the Ace and the Nia.
Ooh, you can see his feet. Got the Nia, got fully stalked here. Bad Habits
That was a head-on.
with the head on here for the stun. Stop. Gonna allow at least a little bit of extra distance. Kind of surprised to see that this survivor didn't leave the full tile though, and that does result in a down in the tile, the actual pallet space itself. Makes me wonder if maybe there's a survivor around, out in the distance in the shadows waiting for a pallet save. We know where the Ace is, which leads me to ask, where is the Kate? Because we're not too far from seeing the progression to the death state in the basement. We do see the pickup coming in. We do have Kate fully marked. Oh man. Oh, and then there's going to be and Ace is just about fully stalked as well. Doesn't know that until just now here. So now you have 2 survivors who are one-shot downable. You also have a Nia who is injured, who does not know where the Ghostface is. Ghostface doing a good job of catching the Nia out of position. That's a down here. And you have both fully healthy survivors not able to break out the Ghostface right now. Not going to be able to move in for the save. Going to be worried about some gens. This is actually a really nice spot to be in for Backy.
Oh no, this gives us 2 kills, all gens complete here. Nyx still has not been hooked yet. So I guess that's honestly one of the best ones to go for. NATO's on death hook, but it looks like Nyx gets the door open and escape fully fresh. And
I'll be honest, I missed them finishing the 5th gen, I think.
yeah, I think you do.
I saw them over the door.
It was the Kate finished the gen back in the little corner.
Oh, see, I was totally thinking they still had to go back. Yeah, that was a really good last chase though, to allow to build the room for that. Now the only question is, where's the Ace? I'm guessing at the other door, but this is, it's still a really strong performance on the Ghostface here. You're talking about needing 9 stages when you come out here, or even just 8 stages with all fresh hooks. Going to be a tough performance here to beat from CatJam. So, Ownd just kind of really continuing their display of dominance thus far, right?
Yes, Ownd's doing amazing so far, and CatJam's doing really good as well. They're definitely putting up a fight.
Yeah, I think this is one of those situations where it's not so much about what CatJam is doing wrong by any stretch of the means. Ownd just really seems to be on top of their game on both sides of the matchmaking here. And so with that being the case, and with Ownd's survivors being the ones that are coming out in this next trial, I definitely do not envy whoever it is that's going to be coming out on the Ghostface on Sheltered Woods, needing 8 stages. We will be bringing trial number 6 here between Ownd and CatJam to y'all after a very quick break. All right, let's go ahead and take another trip here back into the fog. Gonna be on the Sheltered Woods for some Ghostface action. And right now, our survivors from Ownd, basically where we're sitting at, all you're needing to do is get, I think it's 6 stages out the door, essentially?
Yeah, I believe so.
No, 5 stages out the door. I'm sorry. 5 stages. The only thing you want to be careful is you want to make sure you got at least the 1 fresh hook here. But you've gotten, so much time here. The big thing we've seen, honestly, from our survivors, from them thus far, they've done a good job throughout the course of the couple of trials of just really good teamwork. Whenever one person gets in the chase, there doesn't seem to be anyone who seems to be lacking in the chase department, which allows the rest of the survivors to just simply hold M1 and hit some skill checks, which is really the easiest thing to do in DBD. And as we do see now, Claudette going to be moving, taking this chase back towards main here, or back towards Shack here, back towards the corrupt side of the map. That means our survivors are already going to get time to start attacking those generators. We're actually even around that 100-second mark into the trial. No Ruin to help as far as with the regression there. Going to have a little bit of a standoff here at the Shack pallet. Now going to be seeing the Shack pallet thrown because we are not going to want to be hanging around the basement. Moving towards, it looks like we've got a short wall jungle, long wall jungle gym here to work with. Does expose the Claudette, but with taking chase and exposing back here, wouldn't be surprised to see 2 or 3 gens pop.
Oh, yeah, and doesn't catch the survivor on the side of the pallet that they wanted them to be on. Just going to see Claude hold W through Shack and bring us over here to, you know?
Yeah, another TNL over here. Gotta love the RNG getting broken out too, getting assistance from a teammate, which is big because, of course, with the recent changes to Ghostface, once you are exposed, you cannot reveal Momo. So that whole time, Claudette was working without a terror radius, without a red stain, and has been able to get through, what, 80% of the exposed status. And even at this point, we're now chasing the Ace. Ace is going to be able to break out Momo. Momo needs some downs and needs them like right now.
Yeah, we can see that the survivors are doing exactly what you said earlier, and they're holding M1 and getting those skill checks hit. With only 2 gens remaining, yeah, Momo really needs to get this down. Nope. See if they
should be able to make. No, doesn't make the window.
No. And the Claude comes in.
Oh, this is so smart. This is really good job by our survivors. I mean, honestly, this is going to probably be what we start to see being more of the meta, at least against Ghostface, because now when you are exposed, you can't reveal. So Claudette able to help out there. Also, obviously, buys the time with the hit. We're going to be seeing moving back over to this tile here, this pallet I don't believe we've used. So we're going to be seeing that thing thrown with reckless abandon. We're talking around 40% of our power still being, or of the timer still being left here. So a little bit of time, but we see Ace at this point just going to corner up. That timer is eventually going to pop. We saw the 4th gen pop. How close are we to seeing generator number 5?
I'm going to say that it's going to pop here really soon. I'm sure it was being grinded away. But finally, with our first hook on Backy, see if he can stealth up on some of these gamers trying to pump out these last 3 gens that are really close to each other.
Yeah, I mean, they have kind of played themselves into a 3 gen, but it will not matter. Already getting the 5th gen popped, already on the door. Only 1 stack of No Way Out means only 24 seconds until this doors can be finished. Already 2/3 of that has expired, and seeing as we would need to basically go on a 4 slug spree here, which is honestly really hard to do with an M1 killer, let alone a Ghostface here who doesn't have any progression on any of their marks thus far. I believe this is probably just going to be Owned doing what we've seen them doing thus far throughout the day.
Well, he is chasing his Rancor survivor right now that everyone keeps getting hits for, so
true.
Could see a little Rancor moment happening unless they can protect this Claude all the way to an opened up door once they get one open.
So basically what you're saying is we're almost to the point of GG's, but Momo's basically saying, but first let me take a selfie.
Basically, yes.
Basically, yeah, working our way around main here, trying to see if we can get that down. You talked about it on the Rancoriable Survivor. That's the down. Where's the Nancy? Oh, you're on the wrong side. You're not going to be able to get the when the moon hits your... I don't even want to sing it. I just want to watch this awesome Mori, honestly. Probably my favorite Mori to see in the game here. Yeah, let's take a selfie. Let's get it. That is the elimination. It ends with the Mori. However, it does not end with a victory for CatJam. That's actually going to be Ownd taking set number 3. So that means 35-23, meaning 0, which means 3 sets to 0, meaning we're actually wrapping things up in 3 successive sets here. Ownd really looking impressive today.
If you ain't show something, you just don't wanna be. You wanna be me, but you will never be as fresh as see you.